Hello everybody, Blind Moto Gamer here with you once again, and it is time for another video in my KSB Storytime series. And in this video, I wanted to discuss gaming while at KSB, and I want to give a little bit of context to um, what that was like, and I want to give a little history as far as me being a KSB student as it relates to video games. So, to give you all a little history, I started my KSB educational career as a youngster. I was only 5. So, from the age of 5 to the age of 18. Now, you're probably wondering, Blind Little Gamer, how does that correlate into video games? Well, at KSB, on campus, in their recreational facility, they had one of them old Sega Master Systems, and I remember playing games such as Black Belt. That was the hit game of the campus. Let's see, there was other games. There was a video game. It was not a Master System game, but it was a old arcade game called Seawolf. I'm pretty sure that there are those out there that remember that. Uh, it was in the rec center. You didn't have to put quarters in it. You did not have to put quarters in. You simply just went in up to the thing, pushed the button, and started playing. And I loved that thing. Then, as technology progressed, we got newer consoles. Like I remember, we got a Super NES, SNES. We didn't get the Sega Genesis. We got the SNES, and we had games on there. Let's see, F-Zero. We had, I think, Mario World, which is of course the pack-in. We had we had we had let's see, a game called Sunset Riders. I'm sure you all have heard of that. And yes, I remember playing both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis versions. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to talk about the Super NES version because it was the one that we had at KSB. And I remember I was in the not the younger students dormitory, but the one up from that where you started doing chores and doing well, they called them dorm duties. Okay, so every afternoon after school, we would get to go to the rec center, and maybe 2 or 3 times a week, they would have the Super Nintendo out for us to play on the big Magnavox big screen TV. Okay, so we all played a game. We all played Sunset Riders, and we all loved it. And we would let's see, play that. We would play, let's see, F-Zero, Mario World, games like that. Like we didn't get to play games like Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, because this was back when Mortal Kombat Mania was going on, and then Power Rangers was also going on too. Now, yes, my Moto Gamer will have a story about that down the line. So, okay, um, as I was, oh yes, what was another game I played there? Killer Instinct and Street Fighter. Oh yes, I forget about those. Those two games are classics in the fighting game genre, and we had them on site at KSB, and we would have these tournaments, right? We would get together, and we had actual tournaments amongst ourselves on campus about who would win and whatnot. And I, along with a guy I want to give a shout out to Chris Domke, um, would just play Killer Instinct for hours. I mean, we would during the evenings we had rec. I think it was from like 7:30 to 8:30 or something like that. The good majority of our time was in front of the TV playing KI, and you know, so we would have these competitions, and then okay, technology progressed. The mid to late '90s, the rec got a Nintendo 64, And the games we got for that were, of course, Super Mario 64, Hot Wheels 64, WCW Mayhem. Yes, we had WCW Mayhem, and I've got a story about that. Um, and another shout out. Uh, we had, I think Donkey Kong 64, but the one I'm going to focus on here, we did not have Killer Instinct Gold. I wish we would have had that. Oh my God, that would have been so much fun. Okay, so WCW Mayhem. It was around 1999 or 2000, and the Big Brothers and Big Sisters were having a lock-in over at the rec, and it was a bunch of us. It was myself, my good friend Seth Thomas. So Seth, if you're watching, shout out to you, man. You're awesome. And a whole bunch of us were playing WCW Mayhem, and we had a match. I think it was between Booker T. I don't know if it was his brother Stevie Ray, whoever it was. The match kept going on and on and on because everybody was kicking out of everybody's finisher, and then everybody was, you know, kicking each other out of the ring, and people would, we would be trying to like end the match with finishing moves, and but we would keep kicking out, right? It would be like finishing move, kick out, finishing move, kick out, and I'm like, oh my God, and we all just sort of it broke down into a fit of laughter between everybody because the matches would not end, and we had that much fun, and then let's see, how else let's see, video games impacted by my time at KSB. Okay, I remember not in the first dorm you go into, which was the younger boys dorm, not the one up, but the one up after that. Okay, it was Womack, the Womack dorm. We had a computer. Okay, now this was huge. We had a computer, and we had Sega ROMs on that computer with Mortal Kombat 2 and other games. Now, of course, with Mortal Kombat 2, we had to have the sound down and all this, and we couldn't do fatalities. But the fact that we had that really scratched an itch when I was away from home because I would always go home and play my video games. And when I was away, see, I never played the games on the computer. I would just watch. I would just watch and observe. And I had such just as much fun. And then there would be students that would bring their game consoles. I remember a bunch of students would bring their regular NESs or Sega Genesises to school. And I've got a funny story. I want to give a shout out to a guy named James Sparrow. So, if my buddy James Sparrow is watching, this story involves you, bud. But don't worry, it's a happy story. Don't worry. So James brought his his Sega Genesis. Mortal Kombat was the big thing at the time. Mortal Kombat was in, and guess who had all the fatality secrets? Me. So one time, James would be like, "Hey, Blind, how do you do so and so's, Scorpion's fatality?" I would tell him. So there was one time I was in not the first dorm you go in, but the dorm above that, the one level above that, where again you started doing chores and all of that. Uh, my buddy James called the dorm parent at the time. Can Blind Moto Gamer come down and show me something? This dorm parent chewed him out, boy. I do want to say a quick RIP to Miss Pat Sanders, because that's who it was. She was an awesome lady. She was an amazing dorm parent. She was very kind, very caring. But boy, when you got her upset, when you got her in one of her bad moods, and you had to feel the wrath. Oh man. So on this particular day, James had called. the dorm and asked, hey, can Blind Little Gamer come and show me something? And she said, no, he's doing something. I forget if it was a dorm duty or homework. I think it might have been homework because we would do homework right after school. Because yeah, I believe it was after school. So we would have our healthy snacks and then we would do our homework. So I'm working on homework and James calls, hey, I want a Blind Little Gamer to uh, to play this game and show me something. She tore into his butt like a steak on rice, boy. She laid down the law with him and told him the way it was going to be, whether he wanted to hear it or not. And she flat out told him no, he is not coming down there. And then she told me, she said, Blind Metal Gamer, you do not talk to him about that under any circumstances because he was trying to distract me from what I needed to do, which was schoolwork. So, gaming at KSB, although while I was away from KS or from home, I still got to get my video game fix in some way, you know, and me and my friends would also swap stories about, video games and secrets and all this. I remember, I believe it was 1997 when Mortal Kombat 4 came out. Which, by the way, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, quick plug, I will be streaming that day one on the channel. So that that game had come out, and we were all just swapping stories at mealtime, and I was asking, I think it was Reptile, one of his fatalities. It was the one where you have to hold all four of the buttons and hit up. Someone told me that. I got home that next weekend. I re-rented the game just to try this out, and I was flabbergasted because it worked. So, yeah, I mean, KSB and gaming to me they went hand in hand. And that's some other stories I have. I remember I took a computer class. I was in elementary and middle school, and the teacher's name was Mr. Leister. So, Mr. Leister, if you're watching this, shout out to you. You're on. And thank you for getting me into a game called Zork. Yes, Zork. It was a text adventure game. Now, this game was good because for those of you who are blind or visually impaired, that use screen readers, this is one of the first games to incorporate that because it was simply text to speech. So I would be playing Zork. I'd be getting into Zork, right? I wanted to, I was really into it because it would you would like to go like north, south, east, or west. You would just hit NS, E, or W and push enter on the keyboard. Then you would have to face enemies like trolls, and your sword would go blue. But it would describe it so well. Like the description in those was so good and so great that even those of us who could not see knew what was going on and could envision it in our minds. And I loved it because and I think about games like The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, again, which is a good game. Anyway, so we had access to text adventure games like Zork. So and yes, I have a story about it. I was in class one day, and our teacher at the time, Mrs. Creasy, who was awesome, um, allowed us to have free time on the computer. So two of my fellow students were playing Zork, and it was time to leave for, I believe, lunch. And one of them got angry with it because they couldn't get out of couldn't exit the game. And one of them, just for fun, okay, just for fun, puts in, get out of this effing thing. And oh my God, Mrs. Creasy, she damn near lost it, okay, over that one. She was like, why are you putting that in there? They're like, well, we can't escape this. And she told them the command to escape. They're like, oh. And we all just died laughing, okay? We all were like, oh my God, laughing at that one. So, as you can tell from the stories I've shared, gaming in KSB, definitely had an impact. KSB was a great educational place, but by God, there were some good video games that we played. And let's see, there was one time, I'll wrap up with this. There was one time a student brought in their Sega Genesis. We were all again in the older, not the pre-independent dorm, but the one below it. So we got a lot more freedom. So a student brought in his Sega Genesis, and he brought in, I think it was Spider-Man and the X-Men Arcade Revenge. We gathered around that TV in the living room, in the living room, and we played the ever-loving hell out of it. And we all had a great time. Then, real quick, in the pre-independent dorm, we had, staff members would bring in their PlayStations, their N64s, and hook them up and onto the big TV in the living room so us kids could play the games. Yes, they did. So see, the staff members at KSB actually rocked because I remember specifically a staff member by the name of Rick Moore. By the way, shout out to Rick if you're watching. Um, he actually, I was staying over a weekend for a music assessment, which was awesome. And he brought his PlayStation. And I said, Rick, or Mr. Moore, what do you play? He goes, Diablo. And I said, may I watch? He said, sure. So I just watched him play, and I was intrigued by this game. I was so intrigued by it because just I'd never seen a game like this before. I was so intrigued. And one time, Rick was playing Nightmare Creatures. I said, Mr. Moore, may I play? He goes, sure. He handed me the controller. I played Nightmare Creatures for the first time. I had a great time. It was great. So, yeah, KSB, had many great memories, and those were some of them related to video games. So, with that being said, if there's anybody watching from the KSB era, you know who you are. Shout out to all of you. This has been another KSB Storytime video related to video games. Next up, I'm going to talk about my experiences with food. That's right, food at KSB. And excuse me, sorry about that. That is a result of crappy Domino's pizza with anchovies. Blech. The pizza was good, just the anchovies. Blech. And a cold, scrumptious, delicious, decadent, ice cold Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. So, with that being said, next up, we're going to talk about food. I'm going to be talking about food, and I might have a guest. Yes, the next episode of KSB Storytime may have a guest to indulge. So, with that being said, I've been Blind Metal Gamer saying, if you like these KSB Storytime videos and want more, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on the video and feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you were a KSB student or alumni who watches this and have any memories related to video games at KSB, put them in the comments, baby, and let's have a combo. All right, so with that being said, this is Blind Metal Gamer saying, peace out, folks.